Here is all you need to know to make your first PHONK song. Also, if you already know your way around FL Studio, I've included all the shortcuts that I personally know and use, so there will definitely be something new for you. So here's how a finished project could look like. This song is out right now, so check it out. Here's what we will talk about. Firstly, everything you need to know to start, then the channel rack, the playlist, the mixer, and in general, every interesting shortcut you need to know to have a better workflow. And after this, you can watch through all the other tutorials I made and get songs like this. If you have never made a project, you obviously need some sounds. And in order to get the sounds in these lists on the left right here, you want to go to Options, then into File Settings, and then you can click on this folder to add the folder in which you will put all of your samples which you can get from sample pads and so on. So here are basically all the features you need to know about FL Studio to start your first song. This right here is the playlist, we will come back to it later. The first thing where you want to start your song, and for that I'll hop into a different project. Let's do an empty one. So we have an empty project right now, and what we want to do is we want to go to the channel rack, which is this button on the top here. Right now you have no sounds in there, this is just a sampler, it's an empty sound. So here's two ways how you can get a sound into the channel rack. Firstly, you can press this plus icon and choose a synthesizer here, or you can press on more plugins and search for example, Vital. This is a free synthesizer, you could start with that one, for example. And now you already have a sound in here. If you select Vital now with left click, so that this one is red, maybe I don't know what is default, maybe orange or something, or green, then you can go into the piano roll where you can make your first melody. So you can either press F7 on your keyboard, or you can just press that button on the top here, which is also the piano roll. Left click to make notes, right click to delete notes. If you have more notes like this, you don't have to go with right click all through here and try to delete all them manually. You can just again Control, left click, drag, then you have all selected, and then press delete on your keyboard and everything's gone. So for example, we can make our first chord. There we go. Also a quick tip right here, if this is the length of your notes, now you can press Control and L and it will snap. For example, if we have two short notes and I want them to be like this, I don't have to do that step by step. I can just press Control, left click to select all, and then I can press Control L and they will do it automatically. Instead of using Control left click like that to mark all your layers, you can also use that one, but obviously Control left click is like way easier and you also stay on that tool. So back to the channel rack. Now there's more steps we can do here. For example, we can pan things to the left or the right. If you're on headphones, you will especially hear that. So to the left, to the right. You can do it here, or you can do that in a mixer. I will show you that later. You can not only pan, but you can also make the sound more quiet or louder. And of course, if I did skip some steps, please remind me in the comments, I will try to answer everything. So now if I'm making a song, firstly I have my melody, now I would maybe want to add a kick, and this is the second step, how you can add samples into your channel rack. You can either open your sample pack like this, if you know where your kicks are, or you can just search right here, kick, scroll down, and here you have kicks. We can use this one for example. You will often see that people actually place their kick in here, which is fine, it doesn't matter. However you want to do it, this is also a way to do it. Let's just place the kick in here. Now we also might have this sample in here, so let's play some notes. Let's play some notes as well. You will see if you now go to the piano roll, these notes are also in here. This here is just simpler, it will always place on the C, but if you want to make more complex melodies, you of course have to go into the piano roll. Let's say we have our beautiful song like this. Alright, and once we are happy with our result, we can go to the playlist, and if you go on this knob here, we see our pattern. This is exactly the channel rack that we made. So this is the same as this one. Right? If we now want to arrange all that, what we can do is we can right click right here and say split by channel. That brings them all into a separate pattern, which now we'll have it very easy to say, okay, first we want to only play the chords, then the kick comes, and then also this other sample plays again. So this is the way we want to approach it to easily arrange a new song. Now let's say we have a song, we completely arranged the full song. What we want to do is we obviously want to mix the song in order for it to sound good. Here's how we can do that. First of all, if we have all these split up, we can select this layer, which sounds like this. Go to the channel rack and see, okay, right here, it's on the 6th track. On default, it will be on this one, so there's 0. What we can do is, if we go to the mixer, we see right now, it's on 0, and if we scroll up right here, it will be routed to this track. So everything we do to this mixer will have impact on how our piano sounds. Another way to do is, if we have nothing in here yet, we can select all these, we press Ctrl, left click, and then drag down until everything of these are red, or whatever color you have. And then we can press Ctrl plus L. And that, as you can see now, will put them all in order into a new mixer track. Obviously, we don't need that for that project because it's already done, but this is the way how you easily can route all your patterns into a mixer track. I, by the way, won't get into mixing in this video, but if you want to see such a video also, please let me know. So there's a couple more helpful shortcuts we can do in the playlist before I will show you the mixer. To start your song, you can drag it to the point where you want to start it, press spacebar. That's a way to start it. You can also press on top here. Also, if you started the track at this point, and press start and press stop again, it will stop here, and once you press start again, it will start from that point. But if you press start and stop here again, it will snap back to the point where you started earlier. If you press start, stop, and stop again, it will skip to the beginning of the song, and also reverb that you can hear after you stop the song will disappear. See? You hear ringing? Now it's gone. If you only want to select this one, press left click and then here. And if you want to select everything, press Ctrl and left click on this one again. Ctrl left click, 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 Ctrl left click. You got it? So let's say we only want to hear this sound, how this sounds. Nice. And we want to add that one. Okay, nice. And that one. Okay, I want to hear everything again. Perfect, that's how you can do it right here. So we have all these normal patterns. Then we have sounds like these that would show up in this one. So this is automation clips. This is just raw samples. And these are the patterns which we made in here. On these normal samples, on these right here, all these, you can double click and adjust some changes here as well. Want to lower the volume, you can do that here. If you want to pan it left or right, you can do it here. And if you want to change the pitch, for example on this one, this is the bell. If you want to reverse it like this, you press the reverse button, of course, and all these are not as important. So these are some settings you can do to a sample in the playlist. Then we have automation clips. I can show these to you what they do later when we are at the mixer. If we have a piano and we want to add an effect, we already routed it to this mixer track. Now that we know that, we want to open the mixer and apply something to this. Let's say we want to remove all the highs of the piano. Do an underwater effect. What we can do is we open the parametric EQ, this one, and then we can change this shape to here. And now let's not dive into all the effects, but this is the way how you want to do it. This knob right here, it makes it more mono, which means basically centered. And if you want to make it more stereo, like you will especially hear this on headphones, you can turn this knob right here. And again, we have the option to pan it to the left or to the right. These are all the options we have in the mixer tracks. Let's quickly have a look at how the effect chain works. So we have the sound going through here, then through the mixer, and then the master. That means every sound will go through the master. So everything you apply to the master will have impact on all of your sounds. And we can use that, and I want to show you one trick which can be very useful. If you want an effect like this, without the master effect, so if you want to have a reverb automation, that's what we can do here. So let's for example say we wouldn't have that. So left click here, select, and then go to Fruity Reverb 2. You can hear we have all that reverb. If we turn this knob down, no reverb at all. So we right click on it, create automation clip. You can see this automation clip, and with this one we have the ability to control how much of the effect we want to have in our song at specific parts. So we say right here we want to have this effect. We can right click to make a new point like this and then drag it. Perfect. So we have more. And then we want to fade it down again. So this is what we get. Of course this is not well made right now, but it proves the point. So this is how you can add specific effects to specific parts in your song. Quick tip how you can face issues if you've done something like that. Because for example, here's what can happen. If we have this automation clip down here and the reverb should only apply at this part. And now I say, okay, I only want to hear the melody right now. How does my melody sound? And I press Control, left click, and listen to the melody. You can see all the reverb still applies, because if I solo this line, that also means that the automation clip is turned off and that the reverb will play on its full power. And to prevent that and to be able to solo a layer without this automation clip being turned off, we can turn it on and then press shift and left click, and that will lock it. And no matter what we will solo on here, these always will stay on because they are locked. And by the way, that works for everything. If we want to lock that one, shift, left click, it's locked as well. If I now want to hear my vocal, for example, and I want to check how does it sound with different parts of my song, I can lock this one, and now I can solo the melody. And I can always control left click without this one getting turned off. If I wouldn't do it, here's what would happen. I would always have to manually activate it again, because if I solo another layer, this one gets turned off. So that is why we want to use that lock. Here's a quick little advanced extra tip. If I want to make a kind of sweep up effect, so what I want to do is I want to take this part and pull it somewhere else. If I would just left click, I would drag it away, but if I press shift and left click, I get a duplicate, which I can then drag away. I want to use that first part. You can press C on your keyboard to get the cutting tool, left click, then P on your keyboard to get that tool again. Here's the cutting tool, here's this tool, and with this tool we can now right click to delete that. Once we have that, we want to press Control, left click and drag, then Control, Alt plus C, which will bring up this one. We can put leave remainder, then we want to export it. That will bring our layer we had right here into a sound again. So we don't have the pattern, which we have like this, but we will have the sound. What you can see, if you now want to hear this one again, because we don't hear it, because FL Studio automatically muted it, we can press T on our keyboard or this mute tool and unmute it again. Perfect. So, but what we actually wanted and what we got is this one, which is rendered out. If we now double click and reverse it, we'll have this sweep up effect. Also some things that are good to know. I see this uplifter and I want it to be longer than it is. Now if I drag it, the sample stops right here, so it doesn't get longer. But if I want to stretch it kind of, I can either double click on it and make the time longer. As you can see, it stretches back there. Or what else I can do, if I want to be more precise, I can enable this knob this knob up here, and this means now it stretches. If I disable it, I can choose how much of the sample I want, and if I enable it, I will stretch it. Also another thing that really stressed me out, as I said, when you right click into an automation clip, you get a new point, and then with left click you can move this. But I had the problem that I couldn't right click, and if I left click I can kind of draw which is cool, but if you don't want it, it really sucks because you don't have the ability to precisely manipulate the path. That is because up here, the step feature is turned on. If you turn it on, you can draw a path like that, and if you turn it off, then you can finally go in and right click at the point you want it and left click to like manipulate it. Also, of course, if you want to have new sounds into your playlist, you can just drag and drop them here. So now we know where we can build our melodies, how we can split them, how we can then arrange them and make automation clips. And once we have that, we want to export our song. And in order to do that, we will click on File, Export. WAV file is the one with the highest resolution, and you can use MP3 if you don't want it to be like a very large file. For example, if you want to send it to a friend, you can click on it, choose how you want to name it. Let's say this one. Okay, yes. You can copy these settings. They work pretty well. They are like high quality export settings. Here you can choose again if you want both. Like you will have two files now, one MP3, one WAV file. Or you can just say I only want an MP3 file. You want to pick full song if you want to like export this full song. So right here you want to choose cut remainder, and then you can press start. So perfect, you rendered your first song. Another way to render it, just press Ctrl and R, and you can instantly choose, okay, I want to use that name to store it, and then you have these settings again. So I hope you found these tips helpful and can now create your own song. If you have any questions, as I said, write them into the comments. I will try to answer them. Check out the song Energia. It is out on every platform. Thank you for your support, and see you in the next one.